Greetings, comrades. I am honored to be invited to share a message of solidarity on behalf of the struggle for Palestinian freedom and liberation. This week marks the 72nd commemoration of al-nakba, the Palestinian catastrophe, the creation of the settler-colonial state of Israel, and the ongoing expulsion and dispossession of Palestinians. It is ever more fitting to be addressing you all on African Liberation Day and the theme of sanctions and international solidarity. The occupation of Palestine and the colonial construction of nation-states in our region have shaped our lived reality, not unlike that of the African continent. Since then, we have seen sanctions, a cornerstone of U.S. foreign policy and a tool of economic warfare, being used to quell democratic movements, to impede political development, and to challenge all those opposing Western or U.S. hegemony. Sanctions are a tool of imperialism, and people's liberation movements are a contradiction to it. Whether it's decades of U.S. sanctions on Iraq, the ongoing sanctions on Iran, or the blockade on Gaza, sanctions further Western exploitation and domination. And under this COVID pandemic, sanctions have further isolated people and inhibited abilities to access critical medical supplies and equipment to adequately respond to this moment. We understand Israel as an instrument of U.S. imperialism and global repression. Its existence is necessary for the economic and political devastation of the Arab world, and the U.S.-Israeli partnership has been used to help crush movements worldwide, from Latin America, Southeast Asia, South Asia, and the African continent. Israel is a reminder of the sheer commitment of the United States and its allies in maintaining its political, economic, and military domination. We understand the liberation of Palestine as a contribution to movements globally. Isolating Israel economically, politically, and culturally through tactics like boycotting, divesting, and sanctioning apartheid put a dent into U.S. imperialism. So we not only stand with other Black and brown and oppressed brothers and sisters across the world, we understand our fight as your fight. We understand ourselves in joint struggle with one another. We are in joint struggle against the ravages of capitalism, neoliberalism, and Western intervention. It is a duty of all people of conscience to unequivocally oppose U.S. sanctions on Venezuela, Cuba, Zimbabwe, and the over other 24 countries where U.S. has imposed sanctions. As Palestinians, we are indebted to Cuba for its solidarity, for the role it played in advancing the Palestinian struggle as part of the Third World Movement, and its ongoing support of our Palestinian students. Just as the people of Zimbabwe have expressed unwavering support for Palestine, it is our duty to support them and demand that the U.S. lift sanctions on Zimbabwe. Let's remember, our primary enemy, the apartheid state of Israel, armed the racist whites of Rhodesia to attempt to maintain imperialist, white supremacist domination of African people. It is our duty to stand in solidarity with Venezuela and the Bolivarian Revolution and other socialist experiments that center interdependence in people's economic and food security. Today, because of this COVID pandemic, we are forced to give messages of solidarity online. We are forced to think creatively about how to act on our solidarity. During this time, we have witnessed growing solidarity amongst workers and people across the world as we face the global nature of this pandemic. We are also witnessing the crisis of U.S. hegemony and imperialism. This is an opportunity for us to forge alliances. Imagine a world beyond exploitation. Many already understand its limitations on us, and it is on us on the left to move beyond the understanding and put forward alternative visions and strategies that bring us closer to what we are fighting for. These are opportunities to deepen our understanding and practice of internationalism. As the crisis of this pandemic has made clear, we cannot see ourselves as isolated. We are one international community. Just as our adversaries understand their alliances, we must understand ours. What is possible today if we unite across communities to understand the domestic manifestations of fascism, white supremacy as inextricably linked to the Zionist colonial project and U.S. imperialism? How do we understand this moment and its vulnerability so we can build power and shift the conditions that are threatening the well-being of all people? Thank you so much for inviting me to participate. We hope that this African Liberation Day is yet another stepping stone on our collective path towards liberation.